How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be talking about my team selection for blank Game Week 28. We're also going to be taking a look back on how the squad got on in Game Week 27 before turning our attention to our transfer options as well as our captaincy for blank Game Week 28. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. Link down below if you do want to use my download link to download this wonderful app. Thanks again for sponsoring the video. If you don't know, OneFootball is the everything football related app. It's free to download on iOS or Android, and you can see there on the table. I'm following the Premier League right now. Gives me all the goals, assists, and whatever I need to know, as well as following my favorite team if I do want to follow a team, which is for me Liverpool, but for you it could be anyone else. Also, if you want to track more leagues than just the Premier League, go and check out this app. As I said, link down below. And as you can see on screen, you have the team of the week for Game Week 27, dominated by Wolves. They had a really good performance against Norwich, probably a little bit expected, but we have Saiz and Doherty from their defense with 11 and 10 points respectively, as well as Diego Jota with 16 points, a massive score, a little bit more of a differential to Raul Jimenez in that Wolves attacking lineup. For Nonot, also a good FPL option always, 15 points along with Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is a little bit more expected, and then Bruno Fernandes, that new signing for Manchester United, doing quite well, and then the fan favorite Aubameyang also returning for his owners, and then Shane Long, the little bit of a cheaper option to Danny Ings, also doing wonders for his owners. Hopefully he wasn't on your bench. But let's get on and see how my squad did in Game Week 27. So 51 points, above the average of 45, but unfortunately it saw a little bit of a red arrow, and that red arrow took us outside the top 100k. So we're currently sitting around that 104k mark. Quite disappointing, as our captain did manage to pay off, even if it was just by 1 point over the popular Mo Salah pick, but that was not enough for a green arrow. So we'll be looking at making some differential changes to our FPL squads to hopefully get back on that green arrow bandwagon. But let's get on and see how the squad did. So finally, Guaita returned. Since I brought him in, he hasn't got a single return for me. So finally, he managed to get one against Newcastle. I said in that team selection for last game week that I was expecting Crystal Palace to maybe get a clean sheet here. Unfortunately, it wasn't a 0-0 as I was hoping for. I played Lascelles over Rico. Didn't actually manage to make that much of a difference, as Rico ended up not even starting that game for Bournemouth. So Lascelles would have come on anyway. But then Trent Alexander-Arnold, the usual top performer of our defense, with a lovely 10 points. And not a clean sheet this time, 2 assists and 3 bonus points, which a couple of people even captain Trent Alexander-Arnold, so that looks like a massive good captaincy for this game week. O'Connell, a little bit disappointing with him. I was kind of expecting 2 clean sheets on the bounce since bringing him in, but that has not been the case. Fortunately, Lundstrom didn't come on and score again, otherwise I would have regretted this transfer massively. Going on to the midfield, De Bruyne with 3 points. I thought that Leicester Man City would have been a close game, but I was hoping at least for maybe an assist from De Bruyne, but we just managed to get that clean sheet point. Salah with 7 points, GREALISH with 1, and Traore with 1. Traore probably the disappointment of this game week. He had such a nice fixture against Norwich, but he didn't start. I don't really know what's going on there. I know it was a change of formation, but if he comes off at 60 minutes for the Europa League game before Game Week 27, and then he doesn't even manage to start, I don't know if it was injury or what's happening there over at Wolves, but that seems to be a rotation caution for our FPL squads now, that we got to kind of look at Traore and assess if we can manage to hold on to him. Then we have Sadio Mane with 8 points. I won't lie to you, I think I celebrated that offside goal a little bit too much. If he returned that offside goal, I think that would have been a massive change in our rank, and that differential captain would have paid off massively. Fortunately, it was only a 1-pointer, so I managed to get 2 points from this captaincy decision, but this wasn't really enough to kind of quantify the stress that I went through after Salah scored first. So I was really happy that Mane managed to kind of get on par with Salah, but a little bit disappointed that it didn't pay off more. In the attack, there's not much to talk about. Danny Ings and Jamie Vardy both blanking. I wasn't really expecting much from Vardy, but I thought that Danny Ings could have at least got a return in this game, but that wasn't the case. Then Rico, we spoke about him not starting. Sionku with 2 points, who's kind of had his bench appearances. He'll be starting in the lineup from now on because of Leicester's lovely fixtures. And then Connolly with a 1-point appearance. At least he got 1 point. In the previous game weeks, he was getting 0, so at least he's coming off the bench now. but not going to be on my starting 11 anytime soon. Let's get on and see some transfer options that we could be considering. So I spoke about in the preview that I was looking at taking Jack Grealish out. I spoke about in that video as well bringing Harvey Barnes in, and I've kind of gone onto fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, gone to the Opta stats and looked at a comparison of midfielders 7 million or cheaper. Now you could replace Jack Grealish with anyone you want as long as your budget kind of entails it. So you could be looking at maybe Bruno Fernandes, but he's a little bit more expensive than my budget can afford. So I'll be looking at kind of that 6 to 7 million mark. There are a couple of options that we'll talk about that are a little bit cheaper than that 6 million mark as well. So I've sorted here on big chances. It's not the prettiest stat over the last 5 game weeks for these sub 7 million midfielders. Only 3 big chances is the maximum. So Harvey Barnes leads it along with Gundogan, Moy, and Walcott. So if you want to go for any of those, you could, but currently I'm looking at Harvey Barnes as my kind of decision is if he scored this well against the harder opposition, I think against the easier opposition he's going to be getting a lot more chances. There are a couple of other options you could be looking at. The one I was also looking at is Mason Mount. Reason being, not many people are looking at Chelsea at the moment. They have a really nice fixture swing in blank game week 28, and if they do have that double game week 29, which is rumored with Man City, then I think that Mount could be a great option to do. If you look at his shots, he's got 10 shots compared to the 11 of Harvey Barnes, so those two are kind of on par here. But Mason Mount is a great player, and if Chelsea pick up some form now and against these easier teams kind of go on to beat them, I think that Mason Mount could be in for some hauls. The one I also wanted to highlight is Armstrong from Southampton, and as you can see at 20 shots, that's an absolutely massive amount of shots. So he's definitely someone that you could look at. Maybe if you need a little bit of a cheap alternative, I think maybe if you want to transfer out Traore, you could be looking at Armstrong, but currently I'm kind of looking at Harvey Barnes, and I think that's going to be who I'm bringing in. But hopefully these stats have helped you and maybe helped you make your decision. Check out Fantasy Football Hub, a coupon code down below, use code Dayvy for 10% off. So here are the transfers that I'm probably going to be making. I have 2 free transfers, probably going to be using them both in blank game week 28. So the first one is Grealish down to Harvey Barnes, and then upgrading Connolly to Shane Long. So Shane Long, someone that's been impressing me recently, starting a lot of his games. He plays about 70 minutes every game, but with Southampton's fixtures coming up and the form that he's in, I think he's a great shout at 4.6 million. That's going to allow me for a player that I can bench if need be, is cheap enough to bench, but for these blank game week 28 fixtures, he also has quite a nice one. So willing to kind of take a punt on him and double up on that Southampton attack, and just hope that him and Danny Ings both go on and score quite well. So these are going to be the 2 transfers that I'm probably going to be making. They're a little bit differential, which I do like. We spoke about making some more differential aspects to my FPL squad to hopefully climb those ranks, and I think this is going to be the start of a good period. I'm not going to be making these transfers yet. Stay tuned to my Twitter at DayvyFPL for the confirmed transfers, but as I spoke about in the preview, maybe try and hold your transfers off. Not only could we get some nice Friday deadline news of the Leicester lineup, but there's also maybe a Premier League announcement going to be taking place that can give us some clarity on that double game week 29 if it happens at all. So just stay tuned for maybe a deadline with Davy's stream, and then I'll confirm my transfers there. But let's get on and see how the team is setting out for game week 28. So on screen here, Guaita in goal against Brighton. Now Brighton are sometimes a little bit of a hit or miss squad, and the away fixture kind of makes me a little bit worried about Crystal Palace, but I do think there could be a potential for a clean sheet here, and I'm just hoping Guaita can kind of get 2 on the bounce. I don't think there's many goalkeepers in blank game week 28 that have really nice fixtures, besides maybe the more premium options, so I'm hoping that Guaita can kind of outperform the other budget options. Alexander-Arnold against Watford. Watford away. Watford have kind of dipped off in form a little, but they were quite hot, and I thought that that would definitely be a clean sheet loss for Liverpool, but I think that Liverpool could have a clean sheet in this one. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold showed in game week 27 that he doesn't always need a clean sheet. You can just get those assists that take him up to that double-digit haul. The Shells against Burnley. Burnley have also been on better form recently. Newcastle dipped off a little bit defensively, but they always have that potential at home, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for here with the Shells. And then Sionku returns from my bench and will be starting most game weeks with those lovely Leicester fixtures, and I'm just hoping that Norwich don't go in and score against Leicester, because a lot of people have even transferred those Leicester defenders out, so I'm hoping that he kind of repays my patience here and does quite well. Then I'll be talking about Salah and Mane as a combo because they are playing Watford. Now Salah's record against Watford is absolutely stellar, so he's definitely the safest option. We spoke about him in that blank Gameweek 28 preview, how he's probably going to be the safest option, and then Mane is going to be the differential one. Traore against Spurs, not the best fixture in the world, especially because Traore hasn't even been starting, so I'm hoping that he does manage to start this one and kind of run that Spurs defense ragged and maybe get some assists or goals. Mane currently my captain just from the differential aspect, but the person that is tempting me is Jamie Vardy. So still quite highly owned in that top 10k. I think he's about 50% owned, but I don't think many people are going to be captaining him. I don't think people trust him enough after his recent blanks, but I am holding on to Jamie Vardy for the foreseeable future because, as I said, Leicester have marvelous fixtures. Danny Ings also against West Ham could get a goal here. I'm expecting him to do quite well against West Ham. The defense hasn't been that great, and I think that Southampton could get a couple against West Ham. Obviously, Grealish and Connolly won't be starting in my lineup. I just have them here as placeholders for Harvey Barnes and Shane Long if they do come in. And then the only bench cover we kind of have is Rico against Chelsea, and he's not even certain to start. So I'm just hoping that Rico kind of gets his place back in that starting 11. And it was just a little bit of an anomaly that he was benched because at least then I have some bench coverage if maybe Traore doesn't start. Perfectly happy with keeping De Bruyne and O'Connell on the bench, as I do think in the future those two can get some nice FPL points. But as I said, maybe stay tuned for that deadline with Dayvy stream or my Twitter for the confirmed transfers, and otherwise this is going to kind of wrap up the video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.